Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation on a fantastic, I guess, snowy Monday night in Tennessee. All right.
Yeah, it just started. I had a meeting in Nashville and it started snowing, so I tried to get out of there as fast as I could and get back to the safety of my home.
There you go. How's Tennessee after the Civil War between Vandy and Tennessee? Everybody doing all right over there?
Vandy, I don't think there's anybody on Vandy's team, so
okay,
we're doing well. At least we hopefully clinch that playoff spot. I guess we'll find out tomorrow on the infamous college football playoff.
Yeah, well, give those playoff spots to Tennessee, South Carolina, anybody but Ohio State. They don't deserve it anymore. Get them out.
Yeah,
get them out.
You know Alabama's going to get one. They'll have 6 losses, and they'll be like, yeah, well, they just had an off year. We're still going to put them in.
They're good losses.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, heck yeah, they are.
Sorry we missed y'all last week. It was my fault. I didn't even inform Ryan. I was out of town, but my brother, my oldest brother, I've got 3 brothers for those of you who don't know that. He threw together a surprise birthday party for my mom. She didn't know we were coming. We showed up. It was her 80th birthday run. We showed up unbeknownst to her, and she freaked out, and we got to see her and hang out with her for 2 days. So that's where we were.
Awesome.
In Columbus, of all places.
It was a surprise for me, too. I was like, hey, who are our guests tonight? And Jeff was like, I meant to tell you, man, Mom's 80th birthday. I was like, all right, well, happy Thanksgiving.
I was in Columbus, Ohio, the week before the disaster up there. I should have moved Ryan Day right out while I was there. I should have got him out.
It's all right, buddy. Not everybody's meant to be.
What's going on in the kayak world, man? I know they're still trying to hammer out schedules with Bassmaster, trying to get that done. Waiting on BOS, some other things to drop.
Steve-O said it should be like maybe next week or something. Hopefully we're hearing Bassmaster schedule is nailed down, so fingers crossed that we will have some good news coming on that one. I think everything's pretty much wrapped up. I know Tennessee Bass Nation is kicking off this next weekend on Dale Hollow. We call it the Cold Hands Classic. It is, for me, a miserable tournament to fish because I fished it twice, and it is always ice cold. You got those deep hollers up there, and you're in the shade all day, and I won't be participating in that one. So good luck to the anglers. I hope you catch a lot of big smallmouth.
Good luck to those fellers and ladies.
Yeah, they're going to do great.
Hey, I saw before we went live on the social media. I've been at work all day, but I saw Miss Christine's her birthday today. So shout out to Christine, multi-time tournament winner, but been on this show multiple times. We appreciate her. So happy birthday, Christine! I'm sure
she is celebrating with Steve-O and Daniel. I do believe, and I think I saw Riser in the background too. So
wow, what a crew!
Risky crowd. So hopefully,
I didn't dare ask how old she was. I'm guessing what? How old is she? You think? Do you know? Mid-30s, 40? What is she?
Feels like a trap. A trap.
Not a day over 29. She is. There you go. So shout out to her. But yeah, I'm anxious to see when all the schedules drop. I saw something about the All-American Series. I think maybe it was Stoney that posted the All-American Series is no more, that he's going to start fishing the Tennessee Bass Nation stuff. Is that fact? I tried to look that up. I couldn't see it.
I did read that post, and Stoney has been blowing me up, trying to get me to come to Dale Hollow and have a repeat of our Lake of the Ozarks outing, which I respectfully declined.
Yeah, he messaged me and asked if I was going. I was like, "Do you know who you're talking to, dude? I ain't driving over there."
J Max says 49. Oof. Careful.
Okay.
Careful.
Yeah. But yeah, the schedule should be dropping. You know, the year's wrapping up here, but it's like we blink and it's March and everybody's driving all over the place and it's tournament season again. But
We always pretend that there's a break, and then these tournaments start in January and February, and I don't really think there's a break.
yeah, Tyler Alexander on Facebook. Yes, All American Series is no more.
There you go.
There you go. But the All American Classic remains, which is kind of their bread and butter,
Yeah.
blue ribbon event, if you will. Anyway, so.
And that's the one. Is that like the multiple clubs and that kind of thing? Correct.
Yeah, it's kind of the throwback to the original TOC where it's top 10 from every club gets an invite, and they let the TD from that club get an invite, things like that. They kind of expanded on the old TOC format, bringing in folks from all across the country. They're pulling 150, 175 anglers for that tournament every year.
Yeah.
So
I remember it's a pretty good turnout every year.
Yeah, and it's on the lake right above Lake of the Ozarks, right? You know, next dam up.
Buddy,
next
let me tell you, I think I'll actually be back up there this week. Hopefully,
Yeah.
We'll make the 18-hour trek to retrieve my truck.
There you go. It's all shined up and ready to go, huh?
I don't know, man.
Yeah. So, great guest tonight, man. Speaking of Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri, we got to see this fella, Trey Dawson, that we have on tonight with Recovery Outdoors. Share his story, share his testimony. Kind of set that up a little bit for us, man. What we're going to do.
So, you know, we obviously, the awards, we talked about how awesome it was, you know, everybody together, sharing a meal, having a couple drinks, getting to hang out. They said it sounds like I'm too far away from. Is this better?
It does not sound like it's definitely coming through the mic. I don't know, but I thought maybe it was just because I was half deaf. I didn't know.
I don't know.
But it's clear. You sound
We
clear.
can play with it. I mean, I'm down to play with it here if you guys want to watch. Anyhow,
Yeah.
So he came on to tell us, you know, kind of, I guess, you know, a little bit of background on his life and how he, you know, got to kind of find kayak fishing and what it's done for him. And it was really an inspirational story of, you know, don't give up, you know, keep your head down, make good decisions and make a comeback. It's never too late. So I thought, you know, everybody in that room was kind of touched by the testimony that he shared, and you know, I felt like we had to have him on. So here we are.
Yeah. He sent me a video link yesterday. I'm going to play this first for everybody to kind of set this up. Then we'll bring him in and get to talking. Before we do that, of course, I'm going to shout out the sponsors. It's what is it today? It's not Black Friday anymore. It's Cyber Monday. Right. So Cyber Monday, if you're not done with your shopping yet and you haven't gone to ecofishingshop.com, get over to ecofishingshop.com and check out the sales they're having. I know you have to need something. I mean, kayak fishing in general is a never-ending wheel of needing things that you either lose, break, or run out of. So hit up Eco Fishing Shop and get what you need there before the holiday season gets here. Western Son Vodka, of course. If you're an Ohio State fan, Arkansas fan, any of those kind of fans, you need your Western Sun after this last weekend or any other time. As New Year's approaches, load up on your Western Sun, right? And then ProGuide Lithium, of course, is the official battery of KB Nation. We appreciate them. Make sure you gear up because we already said it. Tournament season is going to be here in a blink, so you're going to need to be, 5 screens and 2 motors and everything else you need. You got to have power. You need good power.
My buddy that he kayak fished with me 7 or 8 years ago, back when we were just starting all this, he hit me up today. He's like, "Man, I want to get back in kayak fishing. What do I need?" And I was like, "About 15 grand to light on fire." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Dude, it's ridiculous now." I was like, "You need 2 or 3 batteries. You need a motor, live scope, the whole deal." I was like, "You don't need it." I was like, "But if you're gonna try to be competitive in these bigger tournaments, I mean, those are kind of the basic tools of the trade nowadays."
That's it. That's the way it is. But that said, we're doing a Revo giveaway tonight. If you guys didn't see that before we started, we're going to do a Revo giveaway tonight. So make sure you hit the like and share. They're one of our giveaway partners. Seaguar, Z-Man, of course, and then Gill, the weatherproof gear of choice for us.
Yep.
Gill Fishing over there.
And
So
those
check them
discount
out.
codes are still posted on our page. I had somebody hit me up wanting to know about the discount codes. They are still posted on the page, so feel free to look those up when you're purchasing any of these products.
There you go. Dwayne Wally in the comments. What's up, Dwayne? How you doing, my friend? But yeah, Revo giveaway tonight. Go check out all of our sponsors and giveaway partners because I'm sure there's a Cyber Monday sale going on for them. Maybe some extended Black Friday sales for each of them. So get to their websites. Support those that support us.
Yeah.
Help us help you or something like that. Isn't that what they say, Ryan?
Yeah, that's it, I think.
Help us help you. But yeah, let me play his video, and then we'll bring Trey in here and get to talking to him. It's going to be a great conversation. Who's going to Havasu? Man, he came in from the West Coast.
Is that when
man.
spring break is?
I might be. If it's warm, we might come to. We might show up. But here, let me get this on here. We're going to play this video and get Trey in.
When I was probably 6, my mom and dad got divorced, and I found myself in my first juvenile facility when I was about 7.5. At the age of 18, I caught my first felony, where I started doing heroin. And it was a wrap from there. I ended up going to my first prison stint. I got charged with aggravated robbery, and they ended up sentencing me to 60 months. It was easier for me to just to kind of isolate, because when I isolated, I had no accountability. Nobody to really care about who I was or ask me what I was doing. About 2 months into that Algoa stay, I was seeing people in the yard walking dogs. And I was like, man, I want a dog of myself. I didn't know that decision that I made at that time would pretty much shape my entire future. Ended up getting in the dog program, and I'd never done anything like this before. I've never given treatment a try. I've never been in a rehab. They gave me a release date of December 24th. I did 2 actually. No one was really upstairs, and I went and sat down on my bunk, and my door pushes open. There was a dog. Jumped on my bed, and I knew at that point that something was different. I kind of felt like that dog was telling me something in a way. Stick around. And I did. We say that, the best success in Into Action happens when all the staff go home. It happens inside when we're having a barbecue or we're on a float trip. It's that social model. That's why Into Action works. They just care about me. And for the first time in my life, I care about them. It took me 42 years to realize that. But I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
You have no idea? I don't think so. I didn't tell anybody at Into Action until today. So this is for you, my friend. And we wanted, all of us, we want to make this a really special Christmas for you. We got you a Christmas tree. We're going to decorate your Christmas tree, and we're going to take it over to your apartment for you. Love you.
On December 24th, if Job hadn't jumped on my bed and I couldn't had that connection with that dog that day, I don't know that I would be sitting here talking to you right now. It's gratitude, man. It's gratitude. I was a hopeless drug addict. Into Action works.
And I saw what you done. And that let me know that I could do it. And every day that we see one another, it just solidifies the fact that recovery is possible.
Into Action provides everything you need to be successful. It gives you the platform to be able to get back into the community.
Yeah, I was about to go get a Charlie Brown tree. I just got my own tree now.
This is just real lived experience every single day with people that genuinely care about it. I think this is going to be the best Christmas in Into Action ever.
Ooh, wow.
And here's Trey.
And here's
Hi, guys.
Trey. Thanks for sending that over, Trey. What a way to intro this, man. What a story. And who you got there with you on the screen?
He's a look at me, Louie. He's like, he knew I was getting on here, and he's like, I have to be on there. But that's Henry. That's Prince Paul Henry. P-A-W-L, not P-A-U-L. Just my better half. So, yeah.
So,
more dogs on the show.
Obviously, we saw the clip there, but give us some background. Tell us, kind of your story, and share what we heard at Lake of the Ozarks that got grabbed a hold of us there.
So yeah, that was a great kind of just blueprint of kind of like a journey of my life. And like I said, I was born in Wichita, Kansas. My dad was in the Air Force. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My sister and my brother moved to Grabois Mills, Missouri, where my grandfather owned a barbecue restaurant there called Nash's Hickory Pit. Moved there when I was about 4 years old. Stayed there till I was in and out of juvenile facilities. As a juvenile, I think my first one was probably when I was about 7. I get kind of confused. A lot of drugs. So a lot of times my memories, I'll say stuff and I'll be like, that's not correct. But I think now, since I've told my story so many times, we're really getting down to the truth version.
Yeah.
Like it's
You're dialing it in.
Yeah, I'm dialing it in. But 7 or 8, I got my first incarceration. I was in Heartland Hospital in Nevada, Missouri, and from there it was just numerous other ones. Probably until when I was about 15, I would think that things kind of changed a little bit for me. I was out of a juvenile facility, and my brother got shot and killed and passed away in Camdenton, Missouri. So after that, I just kind of went from, talk about my substance use early on. I was drinking and, smoking weed, but nothing super heavy. It kind of started after that with my brother, where I just started to kind of explore more and experiment more. I got locked up again, and I got out of my last incarceration until I was about 17. I went to Sedalia, Missouri, and lived with my mom, and that's where my sister lives and lives there now. And like I said, one thing we talk about in recovery is we can talk about all the stuff in the past and all the kind of just the myths and the chaos of my addiction. But I feel like it is important where I really want to talk about my recovery now, not so much that, but I think that I need to kind of paint that picture for you guys in a way. So bear with me here. There is going to be some stuff that's pretty graphic. And I feel like that's important because there might be somebody out there that's struggling with something and I think that relatability and being able to relate to somebody is what could possibly open that door for somebody else. And my dog is going crazy right now, but
that's all right.
So 18, maybe 19 was the first time I got locked up in an in the county jail. I was in St. Louis County, and I remember I had a conversation with my mom on the phone and asked her to bail me out. Which she wasn't going to do. My mom had asthma and emphysema really bad, and she was really sick. And it was really selfish of me to kind of ask for that in the first place. But she said no, and I cussed her out and I hung up on her. I had a warrant. Yeah, right. And I had a warrant in Kansas City, and so they were extraditing me there. And I kept on trying to call my mom back, and I just couldn't get a hold of her. I couldn't get a hold of her. And finally get to Kansas City, and I'm there for about a week, and they say, Dawson, roll up. I'm like, roll up? And I was like, what's going on? I go to the guard booth. I'm like, what's happening? And he said, well, you got bonded out. And I'm like, I got bonded out? I got bonded out by who? And he was like, your dad. And I was like, well, my dad wouldn't bond me out. So I knew something was up. For you guys that maybe you guys have been arrested before, but if you have a warrant in another city or another county, they usually hold you until the other one comes. I had a warrant in Independence, Missouri. So they came and picked me up that night. I got to Independence. I kept on trying to call my mom. I couldn't get a hold of her. So the lady at booking, I asked her to make a phone call for me. And just, I said, call Bothwell Hospital in Sedalia and see if my mom's in there. Because I can't get a hold of her. She knew it was freaking me out. And usually they wouldn't do that, but she did. And she was on the phone for about 7 minutes. I was over on the bench, and she called me up there, and she said, Trey, I don't know how to tell you this, but, your mom passed away last week. So my mom had been passed away for, I believe, 4 days at that time. So they ended up giving me an OR, and I got out of jail that night. Ended up missing my mom's funeral because it was later that evening, and that's why my dad was bonding me out that day. And I think it was at that moment that I knew that I just wanted to get away from here. I just wanted to get away. I had been smoking crack and started doing meth when I was probably right there at about 17 when I got out of that last juvenile facility. And like I said, now I'm about 18 or 19. And I hitchhiked out of here to Anaheim, California from Lenexa, Kansas. I got one ride all the way to Anaheim and stayed gone, man. I stayed gone for about 14 years from about 2000. It was about 2000 till 2013. I ended up going to prison for the first time. So all that time for probably the first 7 or 8 years, I had never really done heroin. And when I moved to Utah, went to Salt Lake City, Utah, and I started going to different doctors to get pain pills. Not because I needed them, just because they were easy to sell and I could make a lot of money off of them. Well, I started eating the pain pills, and one thing led to another. I started doing heroin. I caught an aggravated robbery charge in Utah and ended up doing 60 months. So I did 5 years flat there, and I got out in 2000. I think it was 2012, 2013, and I'd started building a relationship with my dad. I remember when I was in prison, probably close to 2 years before I was going to get out. And it's, my dad was always there. Um, I did a show called Unshackled, which they kind of depict my life story. Anybody goes on there and looks on YouTube for Unshackled, it's got my story on there. But I was kind of disappointed a little bit because they made my dad kind of seem like this really horrible person, and that's not really how he was. I was the one that was never really there for him. He was always pretty much trying to reach out to me, especially as I got older, and it was just easier for me just not to do that. But all that to say, so I started building that relationship back with my dad, and when I got out of prison in Utah, I wasn't going to be on paper. I wasn't going to be on parole. They just gave me 60 months, and they were going to terminate my sentence. So ended up getting out. My dad said, "Hey, Trey, well, if you want to come back here, your sister wants you to come back home. My nieces, my little niece and little nephew, and my niece, so they're my great niece and nephew, wanted me to come back home." My dad said, "Trey, if you want to come back home, I'll help you out. Just kind of start all over, but you're going to have to take care of the warrants that you left in Missouri when you left." So I said, "Okay, I'll do that." Well, little did they know and little did anybody know, but I left prison with probably a worse heroin habit than I had when I went in. So in prison in Utah, it was really easy to get Suboxone. And for you guys that know what Suboxone is, it's a medication that they use to come off of heroin. And I know, look, I already feel weird because I need you guys to ask me questions too, because I'm on a fishing podcast, but I'm sitting here talking about all this stuff.
Well, no, I know we're going to get to that, man, and I know that you're kind of building the base for how the outdoors has impacted your life and helped you. Obviously this thing's going to turn. Here you are sitting here talking to us.
Really
I mean, obviously this turns.
Hold with me, guys. I promise. So I got out of prison. I had a heroin
for
habit
people is like hearing your story and no matter how down bad you feel, like there's no coming back, like there is coming back. And I think
there is.
You have to tell that part of the story, or people it doesn't sink in that, like, no matter where you're at, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
That's what I say. It's going to get kind of graphic. So like I said, I left prison when my dad didn't know that I left prison, and I actually left prison with drugs on me. Right, I took Suboxone with me when I left, which is just unheard of. I'm sure people do it, but so I get to Arkansas with my dad, and
that was a turning point, right?
No, not really.
Jeff. No, not there yet.
No.
Wait, so there's more.
I kind of detoxed and did that with my dad. And, I was able to spend, I got out, I believe it was October. It was either 2012 or 2013, and got to go deer hunting with my dad. And, and thank God I did. And it was kind of the best 2 months that I've ever spent with my dad. And we really got to build this relationship that, that I'm so grateful for. And you guys will know why. So, like I said, I left a lot of warrants in Missouri. So now it's January or so. I go back to Sedalia with my sister. My dad says, "Try to help you get these warrants taken care of. We'll get you a lawyer." I had a warrant in Jackson County. I had a warrant in Pettis County. I had one in Independence, where they called my mom. So Pettis County ended up just giving me time served. Another, I believe Jackson County gave me time served. But when we went back to Independence jail, that same one with my mom, the judge was the same judge that was there 13 years ago, and he ended up sentencing me to my backup, which was a year in county, for that it was a theft charge back in like 1998, and I went to, like I said, when I went to jail for it in 2000. So ended up going to Independence jail. He ended up only giving me 6 months of that. Well, 2 weeks into that Independence jail stay, my sister had to tell me my dad died. He had a heart attack. So losing both of my parents while I was incarcerated was something that was really hard for me. So I ended up making trustee. I got out of there in like 4 months. And I went back to the only thing I knew. It wasn't long before I was taking trips to St. Louis back and forth every day, St. Louis to Kansas City, St. Louis to Kansas City, and just right back on heroin. I ended up catching endocarditis in 2014, which is a staph infection in your heart. And I knew it one time. So I've never given recovery a try. I never said I was going to get clean. This is the first time I've ever said I was going to get clean. And on December 25th of this month, I will be celebrating 5 years clean and sober. So this is the first time I've never relapsed. Relapse isn't a part of my story. So I'm grateful for that. But I knew that I had a problem when I was at, I was in casinos and I would be like digging rigs, which are needles. Like I'd be digging needles out of biohazard boxes that they have in the bathrooms for like insulin. People that take insulin, they have them boxes in there in the bathroom, and I had my hand in there just grabbing out a bunch of them and using them to shoot heroin with. And I knew then I was like, Trey, this has gone pretty far. But it didn't stop me because I caught endocarditis probably, I don't know, 3 months after that episode. That is a memory that really kind of burned into my head, and almost died. Had necrotizing pneumonia and a staph infection in my heart. They ended up putting me in a nursing home in Boonville, Missouri, and I had a PICC line, I had IV antibiotics, and I ended up getting kicked out of the nursing home. I was actually taking fentanyl patches off the person that was living next to me. So this, like old people that had dementia that had fentanyl patches on them, like I was going to his room at night and tearing his fentanyl patch off of him. And I ended up like robbing the med cart. So the nurse that brings the meds to different rooms, I ended up robbing the med cart. So they said, Trey, you got to go. I said, yeah, I probably do. My sister said I could come live with her. So I went to Sedalia. And again, it wasn't long before I was right back to doing the same thing. Back and forth, St. Louis, Kansas City, St. Louis, Kansas City. And I ended up catching my third theft charge here in Missouri, which was a felony. And they sent me to, did a 120 shock in Boonville. I did the 120 shock, got out, started doing the same thing again. Ended up violating my probation, and they said, Trey, this is it. You're gonna go. You got 4 years. You got to do 4 years. You got to do. I think it was 60% of 4 years, and they sent me to Algoa. Algoa is a prison that's in Jeff City, Missouri, and I was there for about a week, man. And when I would walk to chow, I would see people outside walking dogs, and I was like, man, I want a dog in myself. I didn't have a desire to train dogs or to work with dogs or do anything like that. I just have been somebody that's always kind of gravitated towards the path of least resistance. And I figured if I had a dog in my cell, it would just be an easy way to do time, right? If I'm in prison, I just want a dog in my cell. So I ended up making the dog program. They ended up letting me in, and stuff started to click a little bit. I started to go to church. I got invited to church, and I'd never really been to church, and that wasn't a huge part of my story. And really the only reason that I went was because they said if I graduated a 6-week program that they served ice cream after the 6 weeks. So it was a huge motivation for me to go. There was a couple people in there that were VICs that were coming in from the Crossing Church here in Columbia, and just really authentic, really genuine dudes. And, they kept on showing up, and I kept on showing up. I started getting really good with the dogs, man, and I knew that I had something that I was really passionate about. And I've always loved dogs. I just didn't know that, that decision then would really shape where I am right now. Probably about 2.5 years into the dog program, the house coordinator came and asked me if I wanted to be the lead dog trainer and be able to help other inmates train dogs and, kind of take that lead role there. And I said, absolutely. So, instead of, spending my time on the yard gangbanging or doing drugs this time in prison, or I was actually just invested in the dog program, and I was invested in my reentry. I was invested in church. I heard about a place called Into Action, which is a transitional, the best way to explain it is kind of a transitional living place. It's not a halfway house. Transitional living campus here in Columbia, Missouri, that helps guys transition from prison back in the community. And again, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I knew that I was in the dog program. I'd given my life to Christ. But I didn't know if that stopped when I left prison and that was going to continue. I just knew that it was working for me then, right? I didn't have some big aha moment where Jesus came and just, that's not part of my story. It was little bitty things that led up to where I am now that actually made that story. So people ask me that, well, when did you get clean? How did that happen? When did you give your life to Christ? And I was like, I don't know. I just know it's about doing the little bitty right things every day. So it's not December 24th, and they got that wrong on that video. It was December 25th, 2019. I ended up getting here to Into Action. Christmas Day, And it pretty much that story kind of tells it. No one was really home that day. A lot of guys go somewhere, for Christmas, and the houses really aren't full. And I go upstairs, and like I said, I really didn't know what I was going to do. I was scared. I was kind of lonely. I didn't know what I was going to do. And my door pushes open, and it's a little Amstaff, which is a pit bull, a little Staffordshire Terrier. And he jumps on my bed, man, and I ended up taking a nap, waking up. He was still there. I don't really know if I went into his room or he went into my room. I don't really know how that worked, but I'm pretty sure that whole house is there. He's still over. He's actually across the street from me now. So I woke up the next day, and he's still in there laying on my bed. And come to find out later on, people would tell me, well, that's kind of weird that dog did do that. But I kind of knew at that moment that I was right where I was supposed to be. I don't know what that dog was telling me, but just kind of stick around. And again, I didn't know. I never held a job longer than probably a week or two my entire life. I graduated high school from prison. Never really had any inspiration. I just kind of lived from state to state and just kind of vagabonded around. So I didn't really know what I was going to do when it came to employment. Started going to the dog park with Job, and I would be that guy at the dog park that would be telling people how to train their dog, right? I knew it there at the end. They were like, oh my God, here he comes again. He's going to tell me that I'm doing something wrong. And I was, man. And I started training dogs for free. A lady that's in recovery, a lot of people that were in my recovery community reached out to me and said, hey, Trey, do you want to help me with my dog? Help me with my dog. So I just started training dogs for free. And, one thing led to another, and people started calling me, and I was like, well, man, I could probably do this as a job. And so one thing led to another, and now it's, Backyard Canine's going strong for 4 years. Actually, for the last 3 years, I've got voted #1 dog trainer in Columbia. 2 years at gold, 1 year in platinum, which is really cool because it's only a part-time job for me, for real. I also work, so I'm a peer support specialist at Burrell Behavioral Health, which I work with transitional youth. That's kids from the ages of 15 to 26 years old that have co-occurring disorders. So I'm kind of like a life coach, kind of like a big brother in a way with that. And then, one thing that just always keeps my cup full is I'm the activities coordinator here at Into Action. So I get to do all the activities, the float trips, the camping trips, the baseball games, the softball games, everything. When we talk about that social model of recovery, that really, really important piece that, kind of showing guys there's another way to live. I think a lot of times, and the one thing that kind of gave birth to Recovery Outdoors, which, I know you guys talked about and people know me by, is I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew when I started bass fish. So let's get on to bass fishing now. So I knew that I wanted to start doing something different. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I was probably 7, and I was sitting on a dock down at a place called Wolf Harbor, which is no longer there, down the Lake of the Ozarks. My dad used to have friends that had a houseboat down there. And I was sitting on the dock, and I remember at a little walkway fishing for bluegill. And I looked over to the right of me, and it was probably a Saturday afternoon because there was this dude just fully decked out, Ranger boat, Ranger jacket. You remember how they used to be? I still want to believe it was like Guido Hibden, and I ran into him at a Lake of the Ozarks tournament. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just kind of what I've envisioned in my mind. And when I seen that dude, I was just like, man, that is the coolest dude in the world, right? And it always kind of stuck with me. And I always fished everywhere I went, even through my addiction. If it was, Tacoma, Washington, I'd get all tweaked out and go fish for salmon for like a week. It was crazy, up in, Utah, up in the Camas Mountains, fishing for browns. And, this was through the midst of my addiction. But I always had something special in my heart when it came to fishing. So I joined a Facebook group, and seen this lady, Jessie, who's actually part of Camo, had a kayak for sale, and it was a Jackson. So I bought it, man. I was like, man, I don't know what to do. And I just knew so I just started following other people, like seeing what they were doing, and I just tried to do it, right? So I knew that I had to have sponsors, right? I have to have sponsors. That's the one thing that makes you a bass fisherman.
You don't even have to have them. You can just say you have them.
You got to get a jersey, too.
Yeah, it's got to say that. I gotta have the AFCO full everything with the hoodie. I have to have all that. All my reels are Tatua Elites. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, I had to have everything, and I just overdid it. I'm like, Trey, you're just over compromising again. So I had all this stuff. So I really nailed it down. Chad Davison, actually told me, he said, Trey, just slow down, bro. You need to put some time on. You need to put some time on the water. Like, because I just thought I was going to be great. Like, I did the Bassmaster Championship my first year, and I thought I was the shit, right? Like, I was going to do it. And as long as to share that story about Greg DePalma, as long as I beat Greg DePalma. So I know that. So when I was in prison, I had a Bassmaster magazine that I got from the library, and it had a story in there about Greg DePalma and about how, like, he sold his construction company. He went from nothing to kind of just put everything in on bass fishing, and I loved it. So I kept that book from the library, a magazine from the library, and I had a dog that used to tear up all my like books and stuff like that. Well, he ended up ripping up this entire magazine, but the one part that was saved out of it was that story about Greg DePalma, and I was like, man, that's really cool. So I ended up keeping that article about Greg DePalma, and so that was a big kind of inspiration to me. So again, I just knew that I wanted to fish, and I didn't want to get a bass boat, so I just started fishing out of a kayak.
Little did you know they were going to turn into mini bass boats.
Yeah, and so I ended up.
And what did Greg DePalma do? Built a damn bass boat out of a kayak. Way to go, buddy.
And I seen that. Why, between him and Chad Davison are the reason why I had to get an Old Town. So I ended up selling the Jackson and got an Old Town 136, which I absolutely love. But man, just I think for me, one of the biggest things, and I thought about this a lot today. Like, what is one of the biggest things that is one of the biggest obstacles for me in bass fishing, but one of the things that kind of attracts me the most about kayak fishing in general is, I've manipulated, I've lied, I've conned my entire life. And I feel like fishing is one of the only things that I can do that I cannot verbally convince the fish to get into my boat. Right? So I have to actually put this work in and do these things and actually, perform. And it's so hard for me, but yet again, it's rewarding for me. It's the relationships that I built. So I talk to guys here all the time. It's about, in recovery, we talk about, changing people, places, and things. It's about falling in love with something that you maybe loved before. So we know a lot of guys in recovery that, as a kid, they loved hunting with their dad. They grew up fishing and then kind of lost that. So again, my vision for Recovery Outdoors was be able just to kind of have a platform to show people that this is possible. And it's just the authentic relationships. I haven't won. I don't think I've ever won it. I won one tournament my entire life. It was the Bass Nation tournament that actually qualified me to go to 10 killer. I did place third in a Battle of Brookfield, but that's kind of like a farm pond. I was just catching like pond puppies, but I knew I was going to do well, right? Because like it was pretty cool. But last year I made a dedication to hit every Moyak tournament, and I did pretty well. I mean, I always stay right. I'm really good at getting 68 inches. I don't know why, but 68 is like my number. Like, so I'm consistent at least. But I mean, that's something. But I remember. But I think for me, one of the biggest things that was attractive about it was just the authentic people that I got to meet. And I shared a story about Marty Hughes when I was at the Bassmaster Championship, and it was day 2. And again, like I said at that story at the 250, my biggest thing was after day 1, I skunked out. But I looked at the leaderboard, and Greg DePalma was still at 0. And I was like, yes, because I was like still like 2. I was like two ahead of him. And I was like, I don't care what I do as long as you can put me at like 140th as long as he's at like 143. I don't care. So day 2, man, it's like 11 o'clock. I still do not have a fish on the board, and I catch this little smallie and I put it on there. Dude, I promise you this fish was only 11 3/4. And after like the 90th time putting him on my board and stretching him out, pinching the tail, blowing on his lips, doing all kinds of stuff, bro. Just trying to get this fish.
Just told you to do that.
I just do that. I finally put him on there, man. I just kind of, you just blow him on.
Yeah, I mean, that line doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So, and I finally put it on the board, and man, I got a picture, and it was 12, and I just started just screaming. I was like, yes, I had 12 inches on the board. It's middle of the day, day 2, and I see a guy coming towards me, man, and it's Marty. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, So I tell him this story, man, about how I just did not want to skunk. That tournament was really hard for me. A girl that I'd got with uh, right when I'd gotten out of prison, that December 25th, 2019, I got into a relationship. It was the only relationship I've been in since I've gotten out of prison. And she had took her own life probably 2 days before that tournament. So that was really hard for me. That tournament was tough for me, but it was something that I was super proud of. I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to go back to the Bassmasters, which is something that I want to do. But yeah, I want you guys to ask me questions now.
Yeah, we've got some great comments coming in, man. J Mac on YouTube says, "Congrats, man! I have family members that can't seem to shake that lifestyle. Hold your head high. Be proud of that. Keep telling the story because it's going to save someone." So true. I have family members as well that have fought this, so it's no joke here. Blake Abbey, Into Action, Chapter 6 in the Big Book. There we go. A few more comments. No real questions, but a lot of comments saying thank you for sharing your testimony. Appreciate you sharing this. Very helpful story. Just lots of great comments coming in for you, Trey. So we appreciate you being vulnerable and willing to show this. Talk a little bit about the kayak fishing. We throw around the word kayak fishing community a lot, but coming in and fishing these tournaments and kind of being, I always say everybody wants to be a part of something. So coming out of a tough situation, what's it mean to be a part of something like this, where you have a diverse community of folks that seem to be welcoming to literally everybody, no matter what your past may be, right?
Man, I can think about just the messages that I've gotten on my phone in the last 4 hours from people that I kind of know, but maybe don't really know like that. Just saying, Trey, you're going to kill it tonight. Yeah, I'm so excited to hear your story. It's the relationships that not only I meet, at the people at the awards, but afterwards, like next weekend, I was telling you guys how, I had to buy everything, right? I probably have over 90 different colors of 1,000 different bags of plastics in there that I never use. Like my living room, if you were to see my living room, you'd be like, oh my God. And next weekend, my buddies from Penguin Outdoors, Steve and Noah and Christian are all going to help. I told them, I was like, man, I'm getting overwhelmed with all this stuff that I have. And so being able to downsize it. So relationships like that, people that are reaching out and people that will actually come to your house and help you do stuff. I started out fishing camo. So I kind of fished both clubs, camo and I did the entire run for Moyak last year. I really wanted to get the ROI and fell out of it by one place to, one of my best friends, Noah Witten. But that was really cool, being in kind of this race with my other best friend for Rookie of the Year, and just kind of neck and neck with each other, and still having a really good, authentic relationship with each other. And not even here in this state, like you guys remember James, Arkansas, freaking hammer from Arkansas, that
Haverly,
the fluke guy, the white fluke guy. From
Fluke Master, original Fluke Master.
He, what? I want to his last name. I can't say it right. He's probably
Haverly.
His last name is like
Don't ask
Haverly.
Jeff how to
It's
say
Haverly.
anybody's last name.
Haverly.
Don't
Man, that
listen
dude is that dude is a hammer, bro. And he reached out to me, and we started to talk and just build this really cool relationship. And then there's Staple, everybody from my club. So yeah, man, and for me, it's not even about fishing, really. It's not like. I look at some guys that don't do well in tournaments or anything, and maybe they don't go to the awards or stuff like that. Man, I'm going because there's just something about pulling up and seeing people and just the genuineness on people. Because, let's face it, I come from a life where everybody, and myself included, kind of had an ulterior motive, right? And that's not the case here. So, that's huge for me. And then, I deer hunt, and, that's a huge part of my life. Hunting is a huge part of my life. So, yeah, so I think for me, just that authentic piece. The first time Marty Hughes, who is, a mentor of mine and somebody that I will always just really look up to and appreciate. I had sent him a message on Facebook when I first met him. And like a day later, he asked me for my address. I'm like, okay, well, this weird, but I'm going to give him my address because I like this dude.
think he's
And
coming
like
over.
a week later, dude, I get a package with these Nikos in there, and he's wanting to show me how to do it and how great they are. And I'm like, all right, well, I love having a spinning reel in my hand, so I'll do it. And little did I know that Nico would be probably the number one thing that I throw most than anything. And, you know, so my love for Marty and our relationship really started with a bait. And that just transpired into, you know, just a super authentic relationship. So
You meet so many really great people, and you know, a lot of them have became like my best friends that I talk to every single day, rain or shine. Like, I'm talking to one of the people that I met just through kayak fishing. That's the only thing we have in common. That's the only way we know each other. And like you said, I mean, these events, these tournaments, people travel all over for or whatever. 90% of everybody there is donating. 10% get paid. Right, so you have to kind of look for the silver lining on that stuff, and for me, I think that, you know, the biggest prize that you get from it's the people that you meet. Like you get so many great connections. There's so much hospitality. You can go anywhere in the country, and if there's a kayak angler that lives there, they're gonna, you know, take you fishing, help you out, like, you know, whatever it may be, give you a truck if yours falls apart on the side of the road. Like you meet so many good people in this sport, and that's, you know, that's the best thing about it. And I think a lot of people did find it through, whether it was a hard time in their life or maybe they're out of work or whatever it is, you know, you start doing something to kill time, and it turns into this huge part of your life.
And it's like, and it's, like I said, it don't matter how big people get. Like in kayak bass fishing, we have, you know, huge names. It's like they still remember who you are. Like I met Christine Fisher. Now I'm like a huge Christine Fisher fanboy. I met her in Guillermo. I didn't know who Guillermo was. I just had him hold my phone to take our picture, and he's like, "Who is this dude?" But it's like I wanted to do this.
That's how I feel when I'm with Ryan.
Right. I wanted to do this video with me and Christine Fisher at the outside of the Bassmaster Convention Center over there. And she did it with me, and it was cool. And we, you know, got to know each other a little bit. And then I'm fishing the Yeti Open down on Table Rock probably 3 or 4 months ago. And I'm parked. We're done. I actually cashed a check in that one, which was cool. We're done, and I'm parked at this little ramp waiting to load up. And there's this truck up here fully decked out in like Costa and everything. I'm like, wow. And it keeps on just jackknifing all the way down the ramp. And this ramp is like super long. And I'm just like, what's going on? And here steps out Christine Fisher out of the driver's seat. And I'm like, oh my God.
That checks out. That story checks out.
It's like, it's Christine. And I waved
birthday,
at her.
for God's
She's
sake,
like,
leave her alone.
And then she waved at me. And then when they came down there, it was like, and you kind of remember that interaction that happened in Oklahoma. And so that was super cool, just remembering who I was. But yeah, that was pretty cool. But I'm sorry, Christine. I didn't mean to mention that on your birthday. If you do see
that,
this.
that may or may not get clipped later and put on the page.
Yeah, no, we're saving that one. That was a highlight, really.
But man, yeah, like little things like that. Like, I mean, awesome opportunity to live here in Columbia. Just the hammers that live here in Columbia. You know, Chris Robs, Chad Davison. I mean, these guys are sticks and people that I can reach out to any day of the week and just ask them questions. You know, Chad Davison really taught me how to tie a leader line. 2 years ago, I didn't even know how to tie a fluoro braid leader, right? And Greg DePalma, talked to him at church one day. You know, he actually called me. I was having a debate on Facebook on what do you throw a buzzbait on? Do you throw a buzzbait on fluorocarbon? Do you throw a buzzbait on braid? And I promise you that it is split. I would say it's about 60-40 with people that'll argue fluorocarbon versus the people that'll argue braid. So anyways, I texted Greg this. I shared my story a little bit with him, and I'm getting out of church, and my phone rings, and it's him calling me from like New Jersey. And I sit and had talked on the phone with him for like 45 minutes, which was super cool. So man, it was just about the little bitty relationships, dude. And we talk about investing in it. Me too. Matt, like I haven't won anything. I've spent a ton of money, but you know what? I also spent a ton of money on heroin. Like
I was going to ask, what's more addictive, the heroin or kayak fishing? Because I feel like, if I walk out in my garage, I'm like, I have a problem.
Right, and that's what I wanted to talk. Exactly, and I wanted to share that too. Like tonight when I'm talking about recovery and recovery outdoors, man, I'm not just talking about recovery from substance use. It's recovery from anything that we don't do in moderation, right? It could be recovery from a divorce. It could be recovery. You could be a veteran that's dealing with stuff from coming back from the military. It could be, something with eating. You know, somebody that really got me on a diet. Again, Tyler Cole. You know, I went to lacrosse and fished lacrosse, which was a super cool event for me to be able to do. And getting up there and not knowing anybody, not knowing lacrosse whatsoever, and having Tyler reach out to me and kind of take me under his wing and saying, hey, let's launch here. And really just kind of being a mentor for me while I was there was huge for me, dude.
And
So
your
being a-
consistent 68-inch stringer is fantastic on lacrosse, so that's a great place to go fish for 68 inches.
And I had like 190 in Northern. Yeah,
That's
I'm
always
pumped.
a good surprise too.
Yeah. Hey, the first day I was all like, this is awesome. I'm all holding them and taking pictures of them and shit. And the next day I'm just shaking them off.
Yeah.
I'm like,
$90 in jackhammers later, I'm like, take me
Right.
home.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. We got some, let's see here, questions. Chris over on YouTube, have you ever done any training at Purina Farms? I'm assuming
I have
you're going
not.
back to the dog training. Yeah.
I have not, but I've actually I went to a seminar up there and watched a couple people that were giving a seminar on therapy work.
Do you know Caesar, what is it, Million, that guy? Yeah, yeah.
That guy?
You
Yeah.
do any of that stuff at all? You have any kind of
I think
key
I've
sounds or
adopted that, so I've read
catchphrases?
all his books, and I used to watch his show on like.
I know, I was so hooked on that stuff.
Dude's actually a decent dog trainer for real. Like one thing that he talks about is, you know, his 3 methods. So we know exercise, discipline, and affection in that order, you know, is really, really important. So yeah.
Do you think that you gravitated toward dogs because dogs don't judge you like people do? I think that's probably one of like the best things about dogs is like they're just like, oh hey, you're cool. They don't know anything about you. They don't care. You get a fair shot with a dog every time.
I do, and I also just think it was kind of a love affair. Like when I was in prison, and I didn't really have that intimate piece, right? That kind of that real bonding piece with something other than myself, something that loved me and was there for me every day, regardless of how bad my day was. And a dog kind of stepped in and filled that role. So when I got out, it was just, you know, my love for dogs was even heightened even more. But yeah, I do feel like that kind of that unconditional, you know, you talk about, you know, I seen a post the other day that said if you was to put a dog in a closet for an entire day and let him out, he's ready to party, right? Try doing that with somebody. It's not going to work. So yeah, don't work.
Very true.
Very, very true. Any more questions or comments for Trey? Please put them in. We'll get them on the screen here. Levi.
There's Levi.
Crushed his leg day.
Big / little Levi. No.
Yeah. I got Levi. What's the plans for you and Recovery Outdoors going into the new year, man? I mean, it's almost calendar's about to turn 2025. What's on the docket for you this year?
So I'm going to do the entire Kayak Series. I did qualify for the All-American, which is super cool. With Recovery Outdoors, man, like I said, I really don't know what God has me doing with that. I'm kind of just a platform now, kind of a voice for people that want to do stuff. I tell guys here all the time, I take guys fishing from here. And just anybody, you know, in recovery that wants to get out and go do something and just don't have the means to do it, just, you know, message me on Facebook, hit me up. You know, my phone number is very easy to get. It's right on my page profile. You know, my long-term vision for Recovery Outdoors, I have a vision of doing a recovery ranch. What that looks like, I really don't know. But Sean Peterson has a really cool thing down in southern Missouri, which is, you know, he kind of has a ranch for veterans, and I love his idea and kind of something I want to adopt. And you know, a place that, you know, can offer hunting and fishing, horses. Also a place for people that go into treatment that don't know what to do with their dog, right? We have a big problem with people that are going into treatment that may be homeless, maybe living on the street, and they have a dog, and this dog has been a big part of their life. And one of the reasons they don't go into treatment is because of the fear of having to give their dog up. So they kind of live in this kind of cycle of addiction because they won't give their dog up. So being able to have a place where we can house and maintain dogs while people maybe go into treatment, maybe having like a low scale kind of what we do here for guys that are kind of getting out of prison, and kind of a transitional service, you know, at a small capacity, but just kind of a ranch, man. I'd love to have it, like in my vision in my head is like just this really cool ranch, recovery ranch, where I'm able just to kind of provide them things for guys that, you know, maybe not have that opportunity.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What an amazing mission, amazing dream. Is there any way? What's the best way for folks to support this mission? Is there a way?
I mean, that's a great question. I don't really know, man. I guess just continue just praying for us, and just knowing that I'm only a message away. If anybody has any ideas, man, I'm always open to hearing. Like I said, I'll always, for you guys that my phone number is 573-554-0950. You guys can call me anytime.
Have you thought about setting up like a nonprofit or something, like, so people can donate and help kind of fund kind of the next phase of this? I think you're put here for a reason, and I think it's very obvious, the story that you have and the huge strides that you made, and now the lives that you impact. I think people want to get behind stuff like that because it's a trickle down effect. I mean, it's a wave. You're the water droplet, and the waves are going to go out.
Yeah.
I really don't know, bro. Like I yes, like that's what I'm here for. I'm like, I don't have this, like, I believe God puts people in our lives to help with the vision that's created. So I think that right now I just kind of created this baseline of something that we can do something with, and what that actually looks like, I have no idea, but I'm open.
He knows. He knows.
I'm open to it. Like, I wish I could come here and tell you a big fancy story like this is what it is. But I have no idea, bro. Like, this
dude on YouTube came out of nowhere with this one.
Yeah, thank you, MP, for chiming in there.
Thanks, man. You said, I mean, you might be right.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sticking with the story. Anyhow,
yeah,
let's save people's lives. Back.
Basically, none of it matters if you don't have a pedal kayak.
Oh, boy.
You don't.
What MP thinks.
And I sold mine to get to Old Town, so.
Yeah. Jeez, my Lord, MP. Nice dog in your profile picture, though, MP. Salute to the dog.
Yeah, if you need it trained,
No, but for real, man, like Ryan said, I mean, everyone in the comments and everyone that we've heard even mention when your name gets brought up, they're man, Trey Dawson, he's gold. He's the heart of gold, great human being. So as this thing develops, man, don't be quiet about it, because you got people behind you. You got people supporting your mission. So I think, like Ryan said, big things in the future for Recovery Outdoors.
Appreciate you guys, man. And, when I seen you guys there at the 250, and you guys asked me to be on this show, like I get the opportunity of going into the prisons now and talking to different groups inside the prisons. And that's not hard for me to do. But when I come on here, even over this platform, I do get a little bit nervous, because I don't know if it's just the passion that I have for it makes me a little bit more nervous. Whereas if I go into prison, I'm just kind of more comfortable because I'm kind of in my element. So like I said, this is all new to me, and I'm grateful that I have the mentors that I have, including you guys.
We're glad to have you on. I'm glad we heard your story in person at the Big Bass 250. Like I said, I mean, me and Jeff both were standing in the back of the room and just looked at each other like, yeah, we gotta get this out there. It's awesome, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
And we were talking about sponsors, and I can't get by without, so when I first started, I wanted these, really cool names, and I filled out all the applications, and, I thought it was really cool when Woo Tungsten was going to get me, or Angler Tungsten. Like Angler Tungsten.
If you're not Titan, you ain't nothing.
Oh my God.
So, I actually had like FX, Adam Tendenick with FX Custom Rods reach out to me and, say, hey, Trey, we'd love for you to, to fish for some of our stuff. And, Tombstone Tackle here in Columbia, Missouri, which, Adam and Austin give me, just work with me, and they just support what we do at Recovery Outdoors, which is super duper cool. Solar Bass Sunglasses, Gary Nesty, who's just a true man of faith. And, he really believed in the story. Man, it's just
Solar Bat. Do you know Randy Blockett? Are you homies with him?
I got the RB3s. I don't know Randy.
All right.
But I got
Are those the ones where you look at forward-facing sonar and you can't see anything on the screen?
It totally blocks it out.
Yeah. Reverse X-ray glasses is what they are.
So yeah, man, and it's some really cool, mission fishing jigs. This guy gives out, 100% of proceeds go to sending kids to church camp, which is really, really cool. And I can't give out that saying CMX lures. You know, Lunch Money, I know you love frog fishing. Am I right?
I mean, I do when they're biting.
So, you know, just these companies that reached out to me and just, you know, that was really, really cool. And just kind of taking it back to the basics. You know, this year, you said, what am I going to do this year is, you know, really downsizing my stuff, really finding, you know, 4 or 5 things that I'm really good at and not just kind of getting overwhelmed. Because last year, you know, I did struggle on some stuff because I just sporadically changed from stuff to stuff, right? I know that, you know, that junk fishing is a huge part of kayak bass fishing because there's only so many patterns you can run in an old town, right? So like I have to be able to be diverse, right? I have to be able to pick apart water. Hey, but there ain't no other kayak that I'd rather be on the main lake of the Ozarks with. I'll tell you that right now.
I didn't even get to see the main lake.
But like so this year just really downsizing and just kind of taking it back to the basics and just kind of being more confident in the things that I like to do because I want to win. I do want to win, man.
Well, look, man, you got Marty Hughes and Chad Davis in your corner. Get the Nico, get the Crocodigator out, and you're good to go. You don't need the rest. You don't need the rest of that crap. You got those, guys and those weapons. You're good to go.
Yep. Marty, yeah, Chad, Chad ain't giving you nothing, bro. Chad will not give you nothing. He taught me how to tie. He taught me how to tie. Yeah, he taught me how to tie a leader knot, but. Man, he's hard. He's
close to the vest, huh?
Yeah, he's close to the vest, and that's why I love him so much. And I'm gonna keep on trying. Hopefully, one day he's gonna write me a book when he retires and the secrets of Chad Davis.
Yeah, man. There you go. Great stuff. What a show, Ryan.
I knew it was gonna be. I mean that had gold written all over it, pal.
Yeah, man. We're gonna do a little giveaway. Why don't you stick around for the giveaway if you don't mind?
Yes,
Trey. I've got a special, hopefully we don't get banned for this, but I've got a special hashtag based on something Trey said during the earlier in the show. Yeah, so if you throw this in the comments, you will win the Revo for the Revo for the Revo giveaway tonight. That's how you get the fish to measure.
Jeff, you disappointed me a lot, but you didn't tonight. I'll say that.
I can already see a nickname in the making. There's Blow the Lips Dawson.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. So I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's just part of it.
Clear your browser history after this episode.
Here we go. We got the hashtags rolling in.
Yeah, we do.
We're rolling in, Ryan.
Good job.
I took last week off. I had to be a little bit risky tonight with the hashtag.
I hope MP enters the drawing. Okay.
If we were giving away a pedal kayak, by God, he'd be in here.
Oh man.
I'm making sure everybody knows how to spell this. So far, so good. We're good with this. No crude.
Spell check is on.
Yeah, no crude extra hashtags.
Whoa, never mind. Blake Abbey. Blake Abbey's out. Wrong direction. That's not
Damn it, MP, you're all over the place tonight.
It was close. King Vaughn. What? Somebody track down MP. If anybody is really internet savvy, let's get his IP address and send him a care package.
My man, Big Boy Yakid couldn't even get the full word out. Just blow TGE.
Yeah, he got excited, you know.
Yeah.
I'm glad we delivered a really good message earlier in the show.
Yeah, you gotta close on some laughter, man. If you're not laughing,
we got it. We're not serious all the time, or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was fighting back tears earlier, so now we're gonna laugh a little bit. Get this going.
Oh boy,
get this going. All right, let's hit this drawing. See who wins it. It's gonna be Facebook or YouTube. What's your guesses?
MP. It's MP.
It's MP.
YouTube.
King Vaughn. Here
we go. We're rolling. Who's gonna get the slow roll tonight? Click, click, click. James! Hey!
Oh, no way. No way.
This is rigged.
It's
rigged,
I
know
man.
You rigged it, I feel like. You mentioned his name too many times.
Yeah, James. He's
the original Fluke Master.
The original Fluke Master. James, copyright. James H.
Oh, man. Great show. I think we got all we could out of that one, man. Trey, keep us posted, man. Seriously, use the page. Keep us posted as you're continuing to grow this. Obviously, a lot of people are wanting to get behind it and help. So I know Jeff and I specifically are more than happy to help, connecting or guiding as far as, setting up a nonprofit or whatever the next steps may be. Be happy to jump in on that.
I appreciate you, man. I love you guys.
Yes,
There we
sir.
go.
I'm glad you came and shared your story, man. Thank you.
All right, everybody. See y'all next week.
Later.